Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so thrilled to be kicking off the second installment in the vlog series. But before we do, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for the genuine outpouring of love, kindness, support, and encouragement that I received on the first vlog. I feel like more and more recently, I have noticed that sharing myself from more of a personal lens and pulling back the curtain on my life is not something that comes easy or naturally or effortlessly, but it is something that I want to lean into more. So it was just so beautiful to receive so much positive feedback around sharing more of the woman behind the work. And I feel like over the last few years of just being in business, that my voice and expression have really become conditioned to teach, educate, add value, and inspire, but not so much just share the real and share the humanness behind that. And I think that even just remembering to record myself is something that doesn't come naturally, or it is not second nature to me to do that. If I'm out in the world living my life, that is what I'm doing. I'm not necessarily thinking about creating content around that. So even that has been something new to explore and learn. And also what I learned in the last vlog was just how important it is to consider the whole storyline. I feel like I was just filming bits and pieces randomly last time, and then I got to the end and I'm like, what am I going to do with all of this? But I learned a lot in that vlog, and hopefully I can put it to good use as I continue on. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of the support around that, because it is something that I definitely want to continue to stretch myself into, which is just sharing a little bit more of myself. And so on that note, this vlog is going to be a behind the scenes look at a creative off season. And so something that I have identified is that we have 4 distinct creative cycles, and I created a framework around this called Create Like an Athlete, because I noticed that they really sync up with how professional athletes train. Now, I am not really a sports girly, but I do love a sports documentary. So that is really the basis of where I get my sports education from. But what I noticed is that athletes really have a pre-season where they're building, they're preparing, they're moving into more explosive training, heading into a competitive season. Then they have their in-season where they are performing and competing. Then they have their off seasons where they're really replenishing, restoring, recovering, doing some light training, maybe starting to head towards that pre-season again. And then sometimes they have these transition seasons. So say, for example, if they won and they qualified in those final round of the game, but then they get to go to the championships. And so they have this little window of time where they tactically slow down in order to speed back up again, because they know they can't go into full rest and recovery mode because they're not in an off season. They still have to show up and perform at their best in that final competition. But there's specific things that they need to focus on in order to make sure that they have the energy to make that happen. And I really feel like entrepreneurship is a sport. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from looking at professional athletes, because they spend their entire calendar year making sure that they have the endurance so that when it's go time and game time for them, that they have the ability to do that. And I think as business owners and creatives, we spend so much time in pre-season and in-season, just back to back, back to back, back to back, that we don't really take the time to look at those other seasons, which is the transition season and the off season. And so I find myself in an off season right now because I went through a really significant messaging shift at the start of the year, and I did a rebrand and I repackaged all my offers. So I went through a bit of a re-education with my audience in that time, which required a lot of output. And then I went through 2 back-to-back launches with a transition season in between. But now it is definitely time for an off season. So I wanted to take all of you along for that journey with me, because I think this is the part of the cycle that so many of us miss or just do not give ourselves the opportunity to do. And I think a lot of the times it's because we think we have to use that kind of time as more of a vacation. And so we save it up and bank it up for when we can go on holidays. And yes, that would be amazing, but that's also not always realistic. Like right now, I'm still running the program that I launched at the end of the last vlog, and I'm also working with one-to-one clients, and I'm also running a business. I'm not on vacation. And so there are things that I need to focus on to make sure that I make the most and maximize the time that I do have to go into that intentional restoration process. And that really looks like allowing spaciousness for the inspiration to return, so that I can refill my creative tank so that I have the fuel to go into the next season. And also, this is where I really work on my foundation and my habits and my rituals and my practice and my health to really rebalance everything so that I have the capacity to go into whatever the next creative project that is coming up. So I really wanted to take you all on this process with me because I think it can be really helpful to just see this in action. So let's go into an off season together. So something that is a non-negotiable for an off season is anything that you can do to restore your physical body and really spend some time nourishing and nurturing yourself. And for me, that absolutely looks like an increased level of baths. I feel like when I'm in an in season, it's just easier to kind of rush and have a shower. But when I'm in an off season, I prioritize a lot more baths, and I have my magnesium salts in there. I've got my relaxing bath bubbles. I've got my candles. I've got my galaxy light. I'm going to watch this Korean show called Love Next Door, which I'm hooked on at the moment, and just give myself the opportunity to unwind. And that's something that I notice is the first thing that I really reach for when I enter an off season is just things where I can really replenish my physical body because I have just used a huge outpouring of my physical energy stores. And so that's the first thing that I really want to focus on is just replenishing my physical body. So that is exactly what we're going to do tonight. Just sitting on the floor because I just wrapped up the final call for Luminous, my group program, but I'm just speechless and in awe of everything that God did in this program. And I feel like for the women that said yes to the experience, what was moved through them and how much their vision really came to life, the belief in the value that they bring, how much that solidified, and just the confidence in their voice really did just expand so exponentially. Like I can't even put it into words, and just the feedback and just the growth and the progress and just the entire inner landscape of the possibilities that they have to now bring into the world. It is just, yeah, I have no words. Like it honestly was just such a beautiful experience. And just to hear them today echo back how much has changed for them in the last 6 weeks was just so beautiful, and how much has shifted within them and how much that's going to now infuse into their work that they do in the world is just beautiful. But I feel like as well for me as the facilitator, I think this was really truly the first experience where I felt like what it was like to partner with God in an experience. And it really does make all of the difference. And to be able to really bring God into the process in this journey has just really shown me what it's like when I lean on my own strength and my own understanding, and how much that really limits what I'm able to do. But when I release my understanding and I lean on his understanding and the strength that he provides, so much more is possible. And yeah, like I just feel like such a shift within my own body, and I'm just like, wow, look at God, look at what God can do. And yeah, I just feel like this is the beginning of something really special. But I think particularly in the off season, like what this has taught me is just how much sometimes we arrive in these seasons just completely depleted and emotionally, energetically, and spiritually just bankrupt. And I think that I've landed in these seasons before where I'm just completely shattered, and it's been really hard to do anything. And I think what I'm realizing through this experience is how much that changes when you really partner with God and allow Him to work through you and not rely on so much of your own effort and strength and the force that really comes from that. So, yeah, I'm just sitting on the floor in absolute awe of the last 6 weeks, but today, particularly, like, just so beautiful.
The one way that I'll work with myself in an off season is today I have to get some slides done for a presentation that I'm doing tomorrow. And so I'm working from the couch, getting everything done, and just allowing my body to be in a position of rest. So even though I have work to do today, I don't need to be sitting at my desk and being in more of that performance mode. I can allow myself to get some physical rest while I'm still doing my work. I don't have clients today, so I'm in my comfy clothes. I've got a nice hot water bottle on my back, and I'm just vibing. I'm about to put some music on and get everything that I need to do done today. But while I'm doing it, why not give myself the opportunity to rest? And this is what I think most people have this resistance to going into the off seasons, because we have this fear and this expectation that it is a vacation and you're putting everything on hold and you're literally just lying on the couch watching Gossip Girl. And some of that may take place, most likely it will. But we can still give ourselves the opportunity to do what we need to do in a more relaxed environment, in a more relaxed state. I find in my rest periods, like everything just slows down a little bit. So even though there might be still things that I need to do that are similar to other seasons, what is the position that I can take to support myself to be able to do it? And that's what really shifts in this season for me. Okay, guys, so we are down the Gold Coast today to go to day 2 of a training that I've been participating in, havening training with my beautiful friend Elle. And so we're just running in now. We've got our cloud matcha, which is delicious, by the way. So good. I am obsessed. So we're going to head into the training for day 2. I'm super excited about all that's going to unfold today. Fueled up. Let's go. Look how beautiful that tree is.
Just wrapped up a day 2 of the havening training, and wow, it is phenomenal. I have had the best experience, not only with the training itself, like I've learned so much that I just feel like is going to be so impactful for the work that I do with my clients and the way that I approach things in groups and one-on-one mentorship. and integrating it into the other modalities that I use. But I personally have had some incredible shifts as well. So I'm headed home now to get some sleep and come back for day 3. But wow, this has been an incredible few days on so many levels, and I could not be more grateful.
Hi, Kirsten's vlog. It's nice to be here.
My camera, microphone doesn't work anyway, so.
Anyway, we both need an upgrade. Hello, Papa.
We are just out on our morning walk now, but oh my gosh, that service was phenomenal. Something that really stood out to me was that when we are in a season that is a little bit more challenging, we can feel like we're in a tunnel. And in that tunnel, we can mistake the darkness there as a permanency for our experience. And I know for me that in an off season, this is where the voice of doubt is the loudest. And it can really feel like we are stuck and lost and confused and don't know what the next step is. And sometimes these seasons can drag on longer than we would like them to. And I think this is also why so many of us avoid slowing down, because we mistake a lack of momentum as a lack of progress and a lack of growth. But it's often in these seasons that God is really doing a work within us so that He can work through us. And it's these seasons that really develop our character, that allow us to move into that next season of growth and expansion and into our calling and our purpose. And it's, if we don't have these seasons, if we don't slow down and actually stop and listen and reflect, then it's really hard to bring more into the next season and to have a fruitful harvest. And I know for myself, I often feel in these seasons like nothing is happening, and it's really easy to lose the faith in those moments. But it's in these seasons that we need the most faith that things are going to change, things are going to progress, things are going to pick back up again. And it's just about honoring the season we're in and allowing that next season to come. You know, this is where the planting happens, and we don't get a harvest if we don't plant the seed. And I also really loved in this particular sermon how he spoke about the fact that in these seasons where it feels challenging, it feels stretchy, it feels dark, we're a little seed in the ground, we're being developed, that it's in those seasons that we are covered by God. And in the next season, we will be able to use what we learned from this challenge to go out and cover others. So I just wanted to share that in case you watching this are also experiencing potentially a slower season, maybe a lack of momentum, and you have mistaken a delay as a denial, and you feel like whatever is your current circumstance is it. It is not. Things are always changing, and God is always moving even when we can't see it. And it's really about having faith in the unseen and knowing that whatever is happening in this season is going to produce something even greater in the next.
The Lord works righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed. He made known his ways to Moses, his acts to the people of Israel. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. He will not always chide, nor will he keep his anger forever. He does not deal with us according to our sins, nor repay us according to our iniquities. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his steadfast love to those who fear him. And as far as the east is from the west, so far does he remove our transgressions from us. As a father shows compassion to his children, so the Lord shows compassion to those who fear him. He remembers our friend. He knows that we're dust. This is amazing. Okay.
Good morning and welcome back to another bathroom series. Actually, I should say ensuite series because my main bathroom doesn't have a window, so this is the best place to film for natural light. But something that I thought would be fun to do in my off season was a ChatGPT glow up. And so I put a selfie into ChatGPT and I asked it to give me recommendations on hair color, skincare, and makeup. And we've already had a fail because this was the hair outcome. If you have probably been tracking all the way up until this point in the video and also in my previous vlog, I had red copper hair and now I don't. So what I asked ChatGPT to give me was recommendations on my hair color and actually said that the hair color that I had suited me really well. So I said to recommend me a color that would lift my roots to match my ends and to revive the ends. I normally get my hair done professionally, but I was like, let me just take matters into my own hands. Like my hairdresser actually lives like quite far away from me and it's a lot to upkeep the red. So I was like, if I can do it on my own, why not? And normally I put a copper treatment in, which is what I think you saw me do in the last vlog where it was quite vibrant red, because I have a treatment that I leave in the shower and it makes it activate a little bit more red. But this was a dye job. So I was like, how hard can it be? Let me just do it. Let me just try it. This is how hard it can be. So despite my very clear instructions to ChatGPT, it gave me a color which I then found out afterwards had brown undertones. So the brown has just absolutely latched onto my hair, this is actually probably close to my natural hair color, to be fair. So it's just latched onto my hair and now we have brown hair instead of copper hair, which I'm not devastated at. Like it's not bad. Like I said, this is like my natural hair color anyway, but it just wasn't what I expected or asked for. So you can see it's still got kind of like a little bit of a reddy kind of Albany tint in the sun. But anyway, it is what it is. We're here now. So that was kind of a flop, but the rest I think has worked out pretty well, hopefully. So basically the next thing that I asked it to support me with was skincare. And what I put into it as a prompt was to really support me with my two skincare needs. I use the Ordinary skincare because I love that it is an affordable cosmeceutical and it has everything that you would get from a more premium range, but just at such an affordable price. And the quality is great. So I asked it to basically stick to that, but fill in the gaps of some of the things that I might not be using in my skincare. And then I wanted to do a restock as well. So I'm going to walk you through my morning and evening skincare. But basically the two things I asked it to focus on was anti-aging, because I'm in my 40s now, and also the barrier repair and support, because I have a little bit of perioral dermatitis that sort of popped up and found its way back into my life, and it just sort of comes and goes every now and then. So it really needs a lot of barrier support to repair that skin so it doesn't keep continuing to break out or spread. And then I also needed a little bit, because I've got a little hormonal breakout at the moment as well. So I wanted to make sure that I had things that would support me for that too. So sort of more sensitive skin / anti-aging was what we were looking for. So this is my morning and night routine. So both morning and night I use the foaming cleanser from The Ordinary, followed by the milky toner. And then at the moment in the morning, I'm kind of rotating between two serums. One is the aloe and NAG solution. So I've used that this morning because, like I said, I've got this little hormonal breakout at the moment. So that is specifically for soothing blemish-prone skin. Then this I'm sort of using either with that or by itself in the morning, and also at nighttime as well, which is the Soothing Barrier Support Serum. So this has probiotics and different vitamins and lipids that have that epidermis repair, particularly great for this little patch here, but I think also amazing for the rest of the skin. And it's also pink, which is really fun. So that's the two serums that I'm kind of either rotating or using together in the morning. Then I have my multi-peptide eye serum, which I use morning and night. And then I also use the Ordinary Natural Moisturizing Factors plus HA in the morning as well, because that just kind of locks in both of those serums. I do find though in summer, like that's too much for my skin. So I normally just wear a serum in summer, and I know that there's probably a lot of skincare science that says you should also wear a moisturizer as well, but I just can't. It's just too much for my skin. It just feels like I'm just a greasy wheel. So I'm like, I can't do it. So in summer, I wear that, but in winter, I'm like, I can use a little bit extra. But what I will use actually in summer is I have the Synergy Skin Uber Zinc, which is a little bit of a sunscreen. So I use that in summer. And then for my nighttime routine, as I said, I'm using the foaming cleanser and also the milky toner. Then I'm sort of working through a bit of a rotation cycle every other day, every 3 days, depending on what it is. Every other day, I'm rotating between the hyaluronic acid and also the GF15 solution. So both of these are for anti-aging essentially, but the GF solution I'm quite excited to try. It's sort of very watery in texture, but it's to help minimize visible skin damage. I don't really have any of that on my face, but I will say I have had a 3-step skin routine minimum since I was 15, but I really focused on my face. So I feel like I really don't have many, if any, fine lines on my face, like mainly just like around my eyes, like where I smile, but I don't have any wrinkles on my forehead or anywhere else on my face. So I feel like I've done a good job at that, but I did not follow everyone's recommendation of taking it down the neck and into the décolletage. So I feel like that was an oversight. And so I do, because I'm a side sleeper as well, have quite a few wrinkles here. So that is also where I'm targeting this particular serum at the moment as well. And I'm basically, like I said, alternating between those two. A couple of times a week, I will also use the retinol from The Ordinary as well. And then at nighttime, I like to mainly lock that in with the organic cold pressed rosehip oil. So I just find that that's really beautiful at nighttime for that kind of extra moisturizing and nourishing factor while you're sleeping. But I also find I love to also then use my little LED skin wand as well, which is massaging and red. You can see it's like that. And the rosehip oil is so beautiful to use that with because it just glides all over your face and your neck. So that's sort of what I'm using. And then I will also obviously use my eye serum too. I think that's it. Oh, and then also at nighttime at the moment, I'm also using the Synergy Skin Recovery Balm, and that I just use on my perioral dermatitis. So it's basically, it says first aid in a jar. So it's really, really great for things like that. And you just put it's like honey almost texture, and you just put it over the top of the perioral dermatitis. So if you also have had skin issues like I have, that may also be beautiful for you as well. And I'm definitely finding that it's just repairing that little damaged skin area, because that's kind of what happens with the dermatitis. It damages the skin, and then it's really easy to just come back and repeat. And if you look up perioral dermatitis, you'll see it can be caused by like literally anything under the sun. It's like pick a reason, pick a cause. It could be that, there's very little known about it. So it's sort of like very hit and miss for everybody. It's really trial and error. And I know 2 or 3 other women that have it in my life as well, that sort of goes through cyclically like mine does. And they have had great results with things that don't work for me. So take it with a grain of salt. It might work for you, it might not, but that's my morning and evening skincare routine at the moment. So hopefully you enjoyed that. It seems like it's a lot, but it's actually not. Like there's a lot of things, but because we're rotating it, there's not that much in either the morning or the evening. So now we're going to try the makeup, because I have a group coaching call in an hour, and I tried it on the weekend and I quite liked what it gave me, because normally I tend to lean quite heavily into using powders, and that kind of it alone when I'm just in a day-to-day sort of setting, like whether I'm on Zoom calls or whether I'm just going to the shops or just doing something that doesn't really require like a full face of makeup. But then if I was going out or I was doing filming, my foundation was quite thick, and then I would use the powder on top of that. And I really just think that is a habit from being a millennial in my 20s, when it was all about the full face beat with full coverage, and you had your Napoleon Purtis camera finish, and you would use the sponge to like cake that on. So I feel like it's a little bit of a hangover. Obviously, I don't do it that crazy anymore, but I would say that there was a little bit of the remnants of that. And that obviously doesn't work for my skin anymore. Being 40, even though I don't have too many fine lines, I do have, creases in my under eye and creases here, like I said, from smiling. And so the makeup that I was using and how I was applying it definitely tended to really sit in those creases, and I would notice the wear sort of like happen after a few hours, and I'd have to then sort of tidy it up when I was out. And yeah, I just don't think it was necessarily giving me a youthful look. I think it was kind of working against me. So I put that into ChatGPT. I let it know my age. I let it know what I was sort of, trying to lean towards. And interestingly enough, it really recommended all very light liquid cream kind of vibes. And so that was really exciting because I've never really used a cream blush before. It also recommended a highlighter. I don't normally wear things like that. And so it was a really different look over the weekend, and I did really enjoy it. And I think that it definitely suited me a lot better. And it was interesting because when I did the selfie, it gave me color recommendations on all of the different palettes as well. And I mean, that was probably also with my red hair. So whether it would give me the same recommendations with the color fail, I don't know. But anyway, we're here now. The only thing that I would say has also been a little bit of a flop with the makeup, and that is not ChatGPT's fault, is that it recommended the Ordinary Serum Foundation for me, and they were sold out 3 shades kind of either side of what I would probably be and what it recommended me to get. So this is definitely would be a great color for me if it was summer and I was tanned, but it's a little bit too dark for me now. So I probably will have to get something else to fill in the gap until I get some sun in summer. But it's actually not too bad. Like, it didn't look too bad as long as I kind of blend into my neck. It didn't look too bad. So let's do that so that I'm ready for my call. The other thing I would say is I found this lady on TikTok. I forget her name. If I can find it, I'll put it on the screen. But she gave you a makeup tutorial, which I absolutely loved, where she spoke about putting the product on your hand and like swirling it into the brush, and she called it priming the brush. And some of you are probably rolling your eyes being like, yeah, obviously you do that, but I did not know about this. And so it's so great because it allows you to have so much more product control. And I just, yeah, I'm astounded. It works so well, and it really does work with your skin and then doesn't have all of that creasing effect that I was talking about. So I feel like it definitely works with you better. So let's do the foundation. I said you can probably see already it's a little bit too yellow for me at the moment, but that's okay. You can probably see on my wrist, like it definitely is like way too dark for me at the moment. Then I have the Nature Full Coverage Concealer. Then what it recommended for me was the e.l.f. Putty Blush in, I think it was Turks and Caicos. And this is really pretty. I used it on the weekend, and it's just like, it just has this really beautiful little summery kind of glow to it. But I feel like the palette, the color palettes that I was using before were pretty close, but it has probably just given me a slightly more pinky tone. You look at the old blush I had, which was powder, like I was probably using more like a peach shade. Yeah, it was Peach Glow, and this has given me more of that pinky pop. It's got a really nice little glow to it. And then what it recommended was the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand, and it is in the color Blush. And this is like a little blush highlight to just throw over the top. It just gives you like, oh, so fun. It's so dewy. Like, you just feel like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so fresh. Then it gave me the e.l.f. eyeshadow palette in Cream and Sugar. I don't really need this today, but And by the way, guys, none of these products are tested on animals, and they're also really affordable because I did put in there as well. I just wanted it on a budget. I actually just really don't care to have a brand name makeup anymore. And so this is also the e.l.f. Lash and Roll mascara. And then for the lip colors, it gave me two options. So one is this really beautiful Nacho Smoothie lip crayon in peony. And I'll show you. It's a very cute little pink color. I think this is going to be great in summer. But it's almost like a lip gloss and lipstick in one. And it's really hydrating, which I love. But it's just this very soft pinky peach sort of color, which, like I said, I think will be great in summer. But then it also gave me this lip liner from Nacho in the color Earth. And I think this is probably a little bit more of a vibe for winter. But then also to match it with the Nacho Intense Color Lip Crayon in Earthy Nude as well. So that's kind of the makeup that it's recommended. And I really do think that it just sits so much nicer on my skin. It really does give more of a radiant glow. I love the highlighter. I love the colors. And I feel like, yeah, it just sits so much better on my skin. There's no creasing, no folding, no, oh my gosh, I need to clean up my eyes at all. It just, yeah, looks so much better. So a fail on the hair, a win on the skincare, and a win on the makeup. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. 3 out of 3 would have been better, but it is what it is. But I would definitely recommend giving it a go and maybe just trust the professionals when it comes to the hair care. Well, guys, I thought at this point of the recording that we would be able to wrap this off-season vlog up in a nice little bow. I thought I would be sitting down with you and sharing that I am renewed, restored, and ready for the next chapter. This is the clarity that's landed. This is where I'm going next. Join me for my next vlog, which is my pre-season. But that is absolutely not the case. In fact, God has just called me off social media. It has already been 2 weeks, and I suspect that it will be at least 2 more, possibly longer, but definitely 2 more weeks. So I am in unknown territory. I have never gotten to the end of an off season and been called into an even deeper off season. Normally at this time, the momentum is picking up. I have the next idea. I'm ready to move into go mode. And right now, I just feel like I am being asked to just really, truly rest, really, truly surrender, to sit at the feet of Jesus, to spend time just soaking in the presence of God, to spend time in His Word, and to just allow my inspiration to return, to have my mind renewed, and just be open and ready and create the space for a completely new chapter to emerge. I really feel like God is trying to do something new, and I can't rely on the typical ways that I would work when I am allowing God's plan to work. And the irony for me is I declared this year as God's plan as my words. And I had this realization yesterday that what I really unconsciously meant when I declared God's plan over 2025 was, God, bless my plan. Bless what I want. Just give me what I want. This is the year to just give me what I want. And I was not prepared for the pruning and the pressing that would come from actually
allowing myself to surrender to God's plan and giving up so many of the plans that I had. Like, this year has been crazy, and I'm sure that is a whole conversation for another day. We will get into that in another vlog. But the other day, when I was just in my prayer time, in my quiet solitude time, I asked the Holy Spirit to lead me to some scripture that would really help me in this particular season and to accept, I guess, where I'm at now, landing in this extended off season. And I got led to John 6:10. Now, I had to have a chuckle when I landed here because I had just been having a conversation with someone about this scene the day before. So I was like, okay, I see what you're doing, God. But what it says is, Jesus said, have the people sit down. There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Now, this is in connection to what comes before that, which is that Jesus and his disciples have arrived in this remote place, and there are about 5,000 people ready to hear Jesus speak. And essentially, they realize that they need to feed these people. And so Jesus says to one of his disciples, where shall we buy bread for these people to eat? He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, it would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each to have a bite. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many? And so this is when Jesus says, have the people sit down. So what happens from there after he has the people sit down is he takes the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted, and he did the same as the fish. So everyone had enough to eat, from 5 small loaves of bread and 2 small fish. Now, I love this, and this was such a perfect reminder for me because basically I think so many of us, when we are looking around at our current circumstances and we are looking at the reality of potentially how much is in our bank, how many clients we have, when our rent's due, like all of these things that are very tangible material things, and we're questioning them based on what our eye can perceive. We're not trusting in the miracle worker. We're not trusting what God can do in the unseen. And so many of us would be asking, what do you mean, how are we going to feed these people? Like, it would take more than half a year's wage, and we don't have that right now. We're not relying on what God can do. And I think that when we land in these seasons, especially when they're extended off seasons, and we want to be productive, we want to be in momentum, we want to have the clarity, we want to know the plan, it's really hard. And there is so much of that doubt of, how is what I have going to get me through, is basically what they're asking, is how are we going to do this? And what I love about what Jesus said is, have the people sit down. He has us sit down and be in the faith, be in the expectancy that we are about to be delivered our provision. We're about to be delivered a miracle. We're about to be delivered the clarity. And I was thinking about it on my walk this morning about how when we are waiting in the line for a restaurant, and like we've all been there, the line is long. We've been waiting ages. Our reservation time has gone and passed, and we're looking through the window, we're looking into the restaurant, everyone eating their meal, and we're like, must be nice for some. Wish that person would hurry up. I can't believe they finished their meal and they're just sitting there just talking. Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. What if they run out of my favorite dish? Like, when am I ever going to sit down? We're tapping our little foot, we're huffing and puffing. Like, we are so impatient to sit down because there's a part of us that is questioning, is it ever even going to happen? Am I ever going to even sit down? We're so in this waiting, this tense waiting mode. But as soon as we sit down, as soon as we get guided to our seat and we sit down, we move into this posture of surrender. We're like, okay, great. We're seated now. Everything's fine. We are ready for our meal. Like, it is okay if they've sold out of what I wanted because I'm seated now. Like, we move into a completely different energy when we're seated at the table. And I think that that is honestly the position that we need to take when we are in waiting seasons, because we need to be expectant that the meal is coming. We need to be expectant that what we are praying for will be answered. And what Jesus does next, and this is actually something that is also replicated in Mark, there's 2 similar miracles where he does the same thing, gets the people to sit down, and then he gives thanks before he performs the miracle. I think that is honestly one of the most challenging things to do in a season of uncertainty, is to give thanks for the season that you're in and to have gratitude for what is being worked through you so that you can work into the next season and to sow into the next season. And so I think there's so much of a clue here of how we can really trust the waiting season is to sit down, to trust that the clarity, the provision, the prayer, the person, whatever it is that we are waiting on is coming, and be in that expectancy and faith to give thanks for everything we're learning, for all of the challenges, for what it's producing in us, for the perseverance that we're learning, for the clarity that will come, like just allowing ourselves to give thanks to the one who is paving the way for us and expect the miracle to occur. And that is easier said than done. I have definitely had I've been a lot of the doubting questions in the last 2 weeks because I'm like, what do you mean we're sitting down? Like, what do you mean? But when we sit down, we're truly coming under the covering of God and allowing Him to provide for us. So that is where I leave you in this vlog is I don't know. Is the long and the short of it. I don't know what is coming next, but I am also really expectant. I've had so many revelations coming offline, and I would really highly encourage you to take your own social media break. God really called me off Instagram because I had Instagram as an idol. I just really could not even imagine doing business without it. But I was also just pouring in there in a way that was like, I have to show up a couple of times a week. I just have to keep showing up, da 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 da. I was in this really unhealthy cycle with Instagram. And I think that coming off there has just given me so much clarity around just how I can show up in the next season, and also reconnecting me to my voice, my thoughts, the inspiration, just fresh things. Like I think we all need to pull back sometimes, especially on the platform that we're the most dependent. And so this has just given me such a beautiful space to just breathe and imagine again. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what is on the other side of that. Honestly, I have no idea, but I am sure that I'm going to create a bit of a vlog around some of the things that just come up for me in this time of social media. And yeah, who knows what is next. But I hope that you have enjoyed this off-season vlog. Come with me into an even deeper off-season in the next vlog. And I just pray that you take your own version of an off-season or take your own sabbatical to really have fresh revelation around what God wants to do in your life next as well. And we'll see you in the next video.